here watching this video, you're probably new to AWS or you're pretty much learning AWS to implement that in your organization. What I'm going to show here is a very basic first step that you do once you purchase or open your AWS account. You log in as a root user, and I'm going to give you a couple of best practices to follow as if it were a corporate AWS account. So we'll start with using the root email address, and then next I will key in my password. There we go. And then I sign in. And what you see here next is a multi-factor authentication that I have already set up. So I need to put that in. And this is again a best practice. You have to make sure that once you create your account, since I've already created my account, I've set that up already through an MFA. And also sometimes AWS does a dynamic check by just sending an email verification. In this case, this is an email verification, not necessarily an MFA. MFA is something that we would set once you log in and set up your organization. I'm just waiting for my verification email. And I think we got it. So we'll just key in your verification and you move forward. Again, so let me correct it. This is not is what I am going to set up right now. Okay. Since this is the first account login, it will ask you to make sure your account is secure. Say root account as the device name. And I will use an authenticator app. You can use any authenticator app like Google, Microsoft, or anything of that sort. So now I need to open my authenticator app. I'll run on Android mobile phone, so you can use an iPhone too and get your authenticators installed. Okay, it gives you a QR code, so scan that. Right, I did scan that. I now have to key in my ID. You have to key in your one-time password for 2 times. The first one, and then the second one. So you wait for necessarily around 30 seconds until it shows the next code. Now, different authenticators will give you different kind of wait time. It is just to make sure there is enough security between 2 one-time passwords. All right, I got the second one. There you go. So you just registered the MFA and you're in. Okay, so it's going to confirm your account recovery. It's very important. Okay, make sure you confirm that and you continue to the console. It seems to be some kind of an error, so I am going to sign in again, thanks to AWS backend. All right, there you go. That's it. We are on the landing page. So you go to organization and create your organization. In any corporate setup, the first thing when they start on AWS is they would create an organization. Best practice, make sure you operate on a multi-account setup. And we will talk more about multi-account setups if I were to create follow-up videos. But let's focus on creating the organization. Again, what is an organization? This is a container of your entire AWS setup. Once you create the organization from this account would be called the management account of your organization. be your central operating account from where you can delegate a lot of service permissions, a lot of process permissions, right? And like you see, there are a couple of considerations, right? We recommend to use an account with no resources or workloads. Best practices: do not use management account for any of your running application workloads. Right? All right. So let's create an organization, and that's it. You're done. You just created an organization. Let's also make sure that Identity Center is enabled. So you go to Identity Center. It is nothing but an SSO service that allows you to create your identities and connect to AWS accounts. Now, why this is a best practice? Because you don't want to operate off an email login and a password login, because you just use that in rare scenarios. It is always a best practice not use your root account. Okay, full stop. Okay, coming to Identity Center, you just go ahead, enable that. Since it's the first enablement, it will ask you the right AWS region. So we'll go with the North Virginia, and it depends on where your corporate setup is and what is your preferred region. For example, if you are operating from San Diego or Bay Area, it's better you select your primary region as US West 2, for example. But again, it doesn't really matter. Identity Center can operate from US East, and you can still operate your workloads in any other regions as well. That is perfectly fine. There's also advanced configuration. We'll just go with the defaults for now, since it allows you to use a custom KMS encryption key for the encryption of the data at rest, which is being used at the Identity Center level. So you go enable it, and what this gives you is nothing but a console from where you can add your users, update your users, create groups, and so on. Okay. And once you go to the setting, what you will see here is a link, which is the landing page for your SSO. For example, if I open that right here, it takes you to the access portal. All right. And this access portal will allow you to log in using a username. And this username is the user that you create from the Identity Center. Right now, your users are going to be created under the Identity Center, which means the identity provider in case of your organization is AWS Identity Center. Let's add a user real quick. Username, I'll go with my name for now. Generate a one-time password that you can share with the user. Email address. We use our email address here. First name, Tosh. Last name, that's my full name. And go next. Let's start with just creating a vanilla user. That's it. In an ideal setup, you would want to have a lot of metadata of your employees in your corporate setup, but this is just an example. In certain scenarios, you also integrate Active Directory within your corporate into AWS Identity Center, thereby sending all the user information, syncing directly to Identity Center. And that means you don't have to create your users, you don't have to update your users. Any user getting onboarded into your Active Directory gets synced into Identity Center, thereby allowing the operations on AWS out. Now, what I'm going to do is copy my password, all right? Close this box, go to my user. Now I will grant an account access. Right now, if I try to sign in, I would not have any logins, right? I'll still show you that, right? Let's use my username here and then my password. Most probably it would also ask you to set up an MFA for your identity. But let's see. Don't remember if it does that in the first attempt. There you go. It does. So you have to set up your, so what we set up previously was your MFA for the root account, which is an industry best practice. You have to do that. You cannot get away from that. And since you don't use your root logins often, it's okay to just keep that aside and not use it ever unless it's absolutely required. Now you can use a couple of things here, like built-in authenticator. If you have touch IDs in your laptop, you can use that. I'll just go from a simplicity perspective because most of the people will definitely have an authenticator app. So I'll use app here. Again, similar process. We'll just quickly set up the MFA. QR code. With that authenticator code, just going in from my mobile phone. And that's it. Now, this is the MFA for my user, which is created within the Identity Center that would act as a central access login for my organization. Okay, done. Now it will take me back, I guess, to the access portal. And there you go. Now you have to set up your new password, security, right? So we'll just use a new password. And, okay, doesn't like it. Right. Perfect. What you now are seeing is the access portal. Okay, it's different from AWS Management Console. This is the gateway to AWS Management Console. Now, since I don't have any access right now, I'm going to give access. So assign account, select Learn Corporate AWS. That's my management account. Remember, that's the management account or the topmost account of your organization. What kind of access? Well, I need some admin access to this. I'm going to create a permissions set. There's nothing but a group of IAM permissions that you assign at the Identity Center level. Administrator access, go next, create it. I just need a 1 hour session duration and great. That's it, done. Come back, refresh this, and you select the administrator access and then assign. Now, what you just did is updating your assignment. That means Learn 8 Corporate AWS account is now allowing access to the user Akash. And what are the permissions that you get is administrator access. Now you go to your next screen, access portal, you refresh it, and you would see that I have the access. All right. Now, if I go in and log in through my administrator access, now you would log into the management console screen. Okay. Now I did the similar thing with the root email address and password. But you don't do that for your regular day-to-day operations because that is supposed to be used in rare scenarios, since your email ID and the password for the management account would hold the topmost privilege, even higher than the administrator access. All right. So it is not recommended to use root email and password for your day-to-day operations. Okay. That is absolutely important from a security perspective. If you go to IAM Identity Center, you have admin access to the management account. So you can operate as an AWS administrator. All right, so you go here, you can see the users. What's different here is you are now federated through an SSO login, and my username is Rakash. And in case of the previous login, my login was Learn Corporate AWS. Okay, that was the root email. As you see, I have logged out from my previous session because the SSO session from the Identity Center has overridden the session which was previously opened. All right, so that's pretty much the initial setup. Do let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. Let me know what you need to learn apart from setting up an AWS account, and I will be happy to create a new video. And in case you feel that I'm a little faster in explaining, just reduce the playback speed and you should be good. Thank you so much. Keep learning.